So there is a large part of this that feels a little like you mentioned, like the little boy playing with the Matchbox cars, that now this is just the big kid
Big boy
surrounded by
cars.
the cars with engines. Like this feels like a little kid's dream come true in here.
It is. It is. This is my happy place, I think, is the phrase that people use.
I think it would be easy to look at all on and say, I love this one, I love this one, but which ones have the most like personal significance to you?
Well, they all do, but for different reasons. But let's start with Emerson Fittipaldi, McLaren's classic car. So Emerson Fittipaldi, obviously first McLaren world champion. This is his 1989 car that he won the championship in. I was fortunate I bought this from Roger Penske, who's one of, if not my hero in motorsports, because he had a much more successful career than me to date, but is similar in that he started as a driver, then he awesome racing team, built an unbelievable business from racing, et cetera, and obviously now owns IndyCar. So Emerson won the 1989 Indy 500 in this car. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was that very famous race where he and Allinger Jr. were dicing at the end and they touched, and Al Jr. went on the wall and went into the wall, and he won his first ever Indy 500, went on to win the championship in this car. This particular chassis won 4 or 5 races that year. All the cars in my collection, my first collecting criteria is the car had to have won a race in period. Not just the driver and the team, but like that particular car.
Okay.
As did Bobby Rahal in this, et cetera. And always been a huge Emerson Fittipaldi fan. Such a great guy. I have his Formula 2 car over there, his first world championship car. And I remember watching this race like it was yesterday. I'm now in racing at this point, but just in go-karts, so it just seems like he's this mythic god out there. And to now call him a friend, have his car. And it was a funny story when Roger called to sell it. He wanted some advice in case, and I've always bugged him for cars. I got the Rick Mears last winter from him. And he called and he's like, I just want to get you some advice on this car I'm thinking about selling at auction. It's kind of going on and on. And I'm like, well, which car? He's like, Fittipaldi's Indy winner. I'm
like, don't take it to auction.
Right, how much do you want? And he's like, no, and it was the biggest, now you know why Roger sells cars for a living. He knew exactly what he was doing. So that's the history behind the Emerson Fittipaldi.
I like the classic Marlboro
it's iconic.
Paint scheme.
It's
I mean,
iconic.
this is that one and Rick's obviously as well.
What was cool is my 2 favorite teams growing up, and to this day, obviously McLaren, which was this livery with Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost, and Roger Penske. So I was always a McLaren fan in Formula One, a Penske fan in IndyCar. So to have these iconic cars, those were always, in my mind, the 2 best teams in the sport.
For me, this would have been my introduction, basically, to motorsports. My age would have been growing up watching this car. So for me, this paint scheme in the Indy 500 feels iconic to me. Yeah.
Totally.
What else do we have?
So then we'd go over to Mario Andretti.
Which obviously Andretti, not just like the car is cool, but how he ties into your life is like, that's cool.
Yeah. So this is his Formula 5000 car. This was the very iconic, I think everyone at my age had this car.
In like the Matchbox?
In the Matchbox, the model cars, he used to build model cars. He won the world championship in this car. That's a Lotus 79. But the car that's most special, those are more valuable, would be his 1987 Long Beach Grand Prix winner. This is where it all got started for me. He dominated the race from pole. Emerson Fittipaldi was close on his tail and had a mechanical, and then Mario went on to destroy the field. This particular chassis, he also put on pole at the Indy 500 in '87 when he led the first 179 laps and then broke. He told me this story. Broke because his team told him to slow down, and that actually caused an engine vibration issue because he had a lap on the field. And probably the most nervous I've ever been in my recent career was he won a Lifetime Achievement Award in New York, and I was asked to present the award to him. So I had to give the speech.
That's cool.
And to me, that was like, here I am, you talked about earlier about kind of pinch me moments. Here's the guy who got it all started for me. And now I'm 20, 30 years later presenting this award, and I've never been more prepared and no more nervous about a speech that had nothing to do with me. This was about Mario Andretti, but I wanted to make sure I nailed all his accomplishments. And he's a great friend. When I brought Fernando Alonso to Indy, we trade texts all the time over weekends. I'm his biggest fan, and I think he's a fan of mine now. And
So what advice has he given you along the way?
he is just a racer. I put him in a Formula One car at Austin a couple years ago, and I went in my Formula One car. I put him in our 2013 car. I went in my Lewis car, and that was also I can't believe I'm on a track in a Formula One car with Mario Andretti.
I did a two-seater ride with him, and I felt the same way.
It was unbelievable.
Is this really happening?
And what I've learned from it, I've never met someone like at his age, and he's a young age. If I said, you want to go drive that or that, I want to drive them all. I've never come across someone more passionate for driving than Mario Andretti to this day. And when we put him in the current Formula One car, you kind of rush in it. He was like, I'm not fitted really well. I'd rather he is an intense racing guy. So his passion is unbelievable.
I've been around motorsports for, a long time now, but if I wanted to go out and buy a car, probably don't have the funds for that, but if I wanted to go out, how does one get one of these, let alone, however many you have here, because I know we're not seeing all of them. How does one start this collection?
So I started mine when I sold my company in 2008. That's when I got started, and it was purely out of just passion, as you can tell, because it's a bit obsessive.
So it started in 2008 with which one?
Started in 2008 with Eddie Cheever's Indy 500 winner.
And Cheever is the first driver that you got his autograph
that I ever met. And I worked on the sponsorship on that car, the Rachel's Potato Chips, which wasn't the prettiest race car of all time.
I remember it, though.
So that was the first one. And then you end up getting them, ultimately there's auctions. They're in private hands. Some I've gotten directly from racing teams. The next car that we'll go to, I got directly from the racing team, Roger Penske. And then kind of once you're known as a collector, I'm not an art guy, but I presume it's the same. Once you're known as a collector, people seek you out. So I get calls like I got for that Emerson Fittipaldi car. Someone went, I know you're an Emerson Fittipaldi car. This car's up for sale. And I was like, I wish people didn't have my number because I wasn't intending to buy that.
Let's be honest. Open wheel racing is probably not the safest, but that Fittipaldi car gives me the most.
You wouldn't want to get T-boned in that one.
Okay, so this was Rick Mears.
So this was Rick Mears.
Danny Sullivan.
Yeah, if this was the car he won Long Beach in. Remember when he punted Al Jr.?
I don't remember it, but I know of it.
Yeah. So which was a cool chassis because that was a Galmer chassis that was competitive, sometimes wasn't. I loved about IndyCar back then. Penske did his own chassis. You had the Galmer, you had the Lola, you had a March. So it was kind of like Formula One Light, where it had some variety. And these cars were so powerful. That was Michael's 91 championship car. So he won 4 or 5 races in that. I was always a huge Michael fan. Over there getting worked on is Al Jr.'s 90 championship car, and I've got the coolest photo, which I'll have to send you.
Okay.
I've got a photo of me getting Danny Sullivan's autograph. I'm in a tank top with an Al Jr. shirt on, and I've got that car now.
Okay.
And a picture of me taking a picture of Al Jr.'s car coming by. And so I think this is what brings back all the childhood memories. But
also, there's something about this that when you're involved in a business for a really long time, there is a part of you that can sometimes get cynical. It wears you down.
Yeah.
But when you get to step into this room and you get to take your toys out onto the track, it sort of brings back
100%.
the things that you love about it.
100%.
How does that reset you?
It's funny, everyone now wants to meet Lando Norris and Oscar, and they're great guys. But they're no Nigel Mansell or Emerson Fittipaldi. But I tell them that to their face.
Right.
And I know they are today's.
I was like, give them time.
Give them time.
20 years.
I think when my kids grow up, well, they are growing up. They're 24, 21.
Maybe when my kids.
But I think their memories of Nigel Mansell and Emerson Fittipaldi and Mario Andretti are Lando and
The Max
Oscar
Verstappens and the Lewis Hamiltons.
And so I think in 20 years' time, when they're catching me on age, they'll look back and go, I remember that when Lando and Oscar. So I think it's what leaves an impression on you when you're young. Of which that car, which I got directly.
Which one? The yellow one?
The Williams.
The Mansell?
FW11B. So you'll see a bit of a theme. I'm a huge Formula One and IndyCar fan. So of course, Emerson Fittipaldi, Formula One and IndyCar champion. Mario, Formula One and IndyCar champion. And of course, as was Nigel Mansell. This is the car, 1987. He won a lot of races. He said this was his favorite car to drive. I've become good friends with Nigel, and he's spends a lot of time with Lando. This was, if you remember, the very famous British Grand Prix where he was leading, had a tire puncture, and then he went out and he broke the track record. I think it was 17 laps in a row, and did that famous move on the end of the straight on Nelson Piquet to win the British Grand Prix. So
that's this one?
that was this exact chassis. And I got this when I did a sponsorship deal for Williams. What can we ever do for you? It's like, you can sell me a car. Can't give me a car because that wouldn't be right, but you're going to sell me one. And they were like, which one do you want? And I'm like, that one.
So how many of these do you actually take out?
They are all runners.
Okay.
So collecting criteria is all had to one, and then they all have to work. I'll take this out at the British Grand Prix this year, which I think the fans are gonna.
That's gonna be cool.
Absolutely love.
Like you personally.
I'm gonna personally take it out. So I'm gonna drive this next week in Spain, as I've never driven it. We've just had it fully restored here. It's been shaken down. It's ready to go, and I think the fans are going to love this around the British Grand Prix, but might be a bit confused why the McLaren guy's in a Williams.
Well, I'm a little confused as to why I don't see any McLarens here. Where are they?
So I also love road cars, but I like race cars more. And my road cars I keep down south at the Top Gear track.
Okay.
And I do some entertaining there, so I keep all my McLarens there because that's where I bring sponsors and friends.
So what's in that collection?
So that, I have about 10 McLarens. My favorite car of all time, which is my 1991 Ayrton Senna Monaco winning championship car. So it's McLaren, it's Monaco, it's championship, it's Senna. It's
that like quite literally ticks all the boxes.
There's no other boxes to tick other than I don't fit in it. So that one's one that I can't drive, but I have others do it because these cars, you need to hear them, and you need to keep them operating. Race cars don't like to sit. I've got Johnny Rutherford's, McLaren's first Indy 500 winner. I was always a Johnny Rutherford fan since 1974. Lewis's car that he won the first U.S. Grand Prix in 2012. Mika Häkkinen's British Grand Prix winner. Niki Lauda, Fittipaldi, Fernando Alonso. I'm a huge Alonso fan. His Monaco winner from 2007. So it's a pretty cool McLaren collection. It's unfortunate that it's not here because it's something I'm very proud of.
What's the newest car in the collection?
Newest car in the collection would be Lando's car that he won Abu Dhabi in.
No way.
Yeah, brand new. And I've got Daniel's, which is my first Formula One win, his 2001 Monza car, which I drove.
The tattoo,
which is
right?
the
We all know
tattoo.
that story.
And those are today's Formula One cars. It's undescribable.
No, I was looking at Schumacher's over
and
there.
Schumacher's,
It's a marvel, but it is not the same.
No.
It's really
He won
really not.
97 the French Grand Prix and the Montreal Grand Prix in 97 in that car.
It's an interesting thing too, because it not only are you collecting them, but you're also restoring them in terms of like the history buff and the guy who wants his kids to know all of these people. Like, why is restoring them and helping them maintain their beauty, why is that so important to you as well?
I think just keeping them alive, keeping the spirit of them alive. And I get all the Nigel, auctioned off his trophies, so I got all the trophies for the car and the race suit and things of that nature. So I love having as much memorabilia around each car, and I love the history, and I go all in. I know someone else will have these cars
Someday.
one of these days, and I hope someone. I love sharing them. I love bringing them to the track because I know the fans will love it. And I don't know. I think it makes us all feel about 13 years old when you come around these iconic racing cars.
Is there any other car in here that you feel really connects to your story? Like this was a moment when I knew this, or this was a car that represents this.
The over around this way.
Do you wanna go? Lead
Let's
the
go
way.
have a look. Is a Porsche 935 that was the first chassis that won both Daytona and Sebring. It won the IMSA championship.
Okay. What year?
81 and 82 this car raced. And so I head this way. It's under works. And
Fine. It's a cool thing to see anyway.
100%. And so these cars are all
Yep.
getting ready to be driven, worked on. But this is a car I saw race at Riverside International Raceway. So this has me, my brother, my dad, memories.
The ties to home.
I remember this, and it's, throws fire out the exhaust.
Oh, that's cool.
And big rear wing, and just a really cool, iconic car that I race at Monterey every year.
Do you really?
Yeah, and it's amazing.
What is it about still racing for you that also keeps you centered?
I think you don't think, when you're in a race car, you don't think about anything other than the race car. And I've got so many things going on in my mind, and which I have trouble turning off. But when you're in a race car, I'm not thinking about anything other than the race car. So it's my first passion. The other one, if we can see one more, why not?
Okay, let's go.
Because this ties back to the 81 Long Beach Grand Prix. The winner of the 81 Long Beach Grand Prix was the then current world champion, Alan Jones. And this is his car that he won the world championship in 1980. So I actually tried to get the 81 Long Beach car, but this is what he won the championship in, and was sponsored by Mansell. Mansell was a hero of mine. He's one of the two gentlemen that recruited me to join McLaren. He went from being a sponsor at Williams to one of the big owners of McLaren. And he brought me into McLaren, and he sponsored this car. So it's got
all
kind of 1981, I remember, because the car looked almost identical. Same driver. And then it's got that Mansell tied to it. So this feels pretty
really
special
cool
to me.
Yeah. So how do you get from that 13-year-old kid who is on Wheel of Fortune, who doesn't know how to say the name of what he's about to read, to this, all of this?
A lot of hard work, definitely some luck, immense amount of passion, and being surrounded by great people. There's a lot of people that have contributed to this, and staying true to yourself and never quitting. Can't quit.
How did you work your way up at McLaren?
I started actually at the top, just not with the top title. They brought me in as executive director, and I think their view was, you're in charge, but kind of let the racing team do their thing. Because I was always thought of as a commercial business CEO. And then I think it was like, you know what, we need to totally hand you the keys so there's total clarity. So they made me the CEO a year later. So I was kind of CEO light when I joined, and then they gave me the official title once I think they felt comfortable that now we need it to be very clear.
It's almost like a lease with the intent to buy.
Exactly. Definitely. And so I think, when I was announced, Eddie Jordan did a nice piece and was like, the new boss. So I came in at the top, but I think it wasn't as clear as it probably needed to be. And then they handed the keys over to me after we really struggled through 17, in the middle of 18, and it's been history, great history ever since.